If you're in pre-foreclosure and you're telling yourself, still got time, I need you to stop right now. Let me show you how quickly the equity that you have in your home right now is being spent behind your back and how it all adds up. Let's say you own a house in New Jersey worth $575,000 and you owe $410,000 on it. That's $165,000 in equity on paper. You missed 2 mortgage payments. That's already about $7,000. That if your payment is $3,500, but it's not just the missed payments. The interest rate might stay the same, but the balance owed doesn't. It jumps fast, not from interest, but from late fees, legal costs, and lender advances you don't even see coming. A foreclosure attorney in New Jersey can tack on around $6,700 just to start the process. Then there are county court filing fees, certified mail, title searches. All of it adds up fast. And the lender also adds late fees, drive-by inspection charges, and forced servicing costs that compounding quickly. Things like force-placed insurance is typically 2 to 3 times more expensive than a regular policy, and the lender doesn't shop around for the insurance premiums. All of this happens behind your back in the background, and no one's calling you to warn you about it, to warn you about how fast that payoff is growing. You don't even realize that your payoff is no longer $410,000. It's $421,000 now, and it's climbing. And let me show you how that plays out. So in one recent case that I reviewed with a homeowner, he owed just under $410,000, and within 5 months of missed payments, the updated payoff came back over at $438,000. Here's what made up the difference in this situation. The missed payments were $17,500. The late charges were $812. The property inspection and lender advances was $2,300, and the escrow shortage was $600. That's nearly $22,000 gone, and it didn't come from a price drop or even a bad appraisal. It came from delays. While the homeowners was waiting to make the decision to sell his house, that's when it happened. And the worst part is that homeowner didn't even know until they had a buyer, and we ended up pulling the payoff letter. They were expecting $90,000 check at the closing, but they walked away with only $22,000, and the rest was gone. And luckily, they at least had $22,000 left. Then we found out about one more thing that happened. His homeowner's insurance renews, but the escrow is short. Or worse, actually it lapsed, and the bank doesn't wait. What they did was they forced place an insurance policy, and that policy covers less, but it costs them double. And the banks, they don't shop around. That new policy, it added another $8,300 directly onto his balance. And did he know about this? Not until we pulled the new payoff. So let's say that now you decide to sell the house, right? But the buyer wants a $10,000 sales concession on foreclosing costs. And let's say the inspector finds some issues with the house, and maybe the appraisal comes in low. Maybe it just takes too long to find the right buyer because of the house condition or even the market shift. So you end up accepting an offer at $555,000, but with concessions, the lender fees, and the agent's commission on, the net is no longer $165,000. It's only maybe 18, maybe 25, maybe less. And that's only if the buyer sticks around through all the delays. I've seen this too many times to count here. Technically, you didn't do anything reckless. You just waited too long. Now imagine if you had called me after the second missed payment, and we could have listed fast before the fees. We could have priced it smart, maybe even generated competing offers. You'd walk away with real cash, not just regret. Your house might look fine, your equity might look strong, but behind the scenes, it's already slipping away. I've watched homeowners lose tens of thousands of dollars, and it wasn't because the market crashed, and it wasn't because they did anything reckless. It was only because they waited. They assumed that the equity was a safety for them, and by the time they realized what was happening, most of it was already gone. And if you're still thinking, I'll fight this, I'm not giving up my house, I hear that a lot. You need to watch the video I just did on that. It's called Why Fighting Foreclosure in New York or New Jersey could be a 100K mistake. And if you're thinking about pushing back instead of cashing out, you need to hear the numbers. And don't forget this, banks don't want to protect your equity. They don't care. They want to protect their asset. They're not your partner. They're not your advisor. They're not on your side. And they're not going to warn you either. But before I go on, let me say this plainly. Banks make more money the longer you wait when you have equity. Every month you hold off, they just tack on more penalties, more interest, more legal fees. Your balance goes up, their risk goes down, and your equity, that's what gets eaten first, right under you. They're not going to call you and say, hey, your equity is shrinking, better act fast. They'd rather you wait, because when the house sells, either by you or through a foreclosure, they get paid first no matter what. You're not in neutral while you wait. You're actually in reverse. By the time you realize how far it's gone, the damage is already done. So ask yourself these 3 questions. Have I already missed more than one mortgage payment with no clear plan to catch up? And am I truly back on my feet financially, not just for this month, but to stay current for the long haul? And the 3rd question is, do I already know deep down that I'm not going to be able to stay in this house long term? And if you said yes to 2 out of those 3 questions, you're not just behind, you're sitting on a decision you don't want to face, and you need to act now before your equity disappears while you're still waiting for things to get better. Let's talk about why selling right now may be the smartest financial move you can make. You're not walking away from your house. You're walking towards your next chapter with your equity still in your hands. You can use that money to rent something affordable, pay off other debts, move closer to family, or just have the breathing room you need to reset. That's not failure. That's strategy. Because what's the alternative, right? Waiting too long, watching your options shrink, then getting boxed into a short sale where the bank controls the terms and controls your destiny, or worse, ending up with nothing at all because the foreclosure, the late fees, the auction wipes out what you have left. If you already missed payments and you don't have a rock solid plan to catch up fast, then selling now might be the only way to walk away on your own terms. Let's be clear, selling doesn't mean you've lost. It really doesn't. It means you made a smart, informed decision before the bank makes one for you. It means you still have choices, and that's what I'm here to protect. I don't want this to happen to you. Here's what I want you to understand. The bank has already figured it out. They've got systems, teams, software, everything working to protect their money, not yours. Every day that passes, it's logged, tracked, charged. You think you're buying time, but what you're really doing is you're renting it at full price with your own equity. And here's the gut punch no one talks about. Once you're deep enough into default, your lender may refuse to stop the foreclosure, even if you find a buyer. You'll need written approvals from them, processes, and they're likely to demand a closing date in under 30 days. And if your buyer can't move that fast, you lose the deal. And the time doesn't stop. I've had to beg for time extensions on deals where the seller waited too long. And sometimes the bank doesn't budge. They could care less. And then comes the kicker. Even if the house sells at auction for less than market value, the lender gets paid first and your equity is gone. No check, no control, no reset. And if that does not light a fire under you to act now, then you may not be ready to hear the truth. So let's be fair. When does it make sense to fight for the house? If your income has stabilized and your expenses are under control, and you've already started a loan modification or a repayment plan that is realistic, then yeah, you might be able to keep the house. But the key word here is realistic. If you're back at work with consistent pay, if you've got backup savings or support, and if the numbers truly work out, not just for this month, but long term, then you've got a shot. But hope alone won't fix it. And wishing for a miracle doesn't change numbers. And the sooner you face them, the more power you'll have. Trust me, I've seen it. Let me show you exactly how this decision plays out side by side. If you had sold right after missing 2 payments at home value of $575,000, payoff of $410,000, selling costs and fees at $35,000, your estimated net would have been $130,000. But if you waited 6 months, home sales for $555,000, payoff is $438,000, selling costs and fees are $49,000, and estimated net is $68,000. That's a $62,000 difference. That's the cost of waiting. And finally, let's crush one last myth that I hear all the time. People say, if I have equity, I'm fine. But the truth is that equity is what disappears first. The bank does not absorb your fees. You do, out of your equity. If you're wondering what your options are now that you're behind and you still haven't listed the house yet, then go watch this video next. Can I sell my house during foreclosure? The answer is you can, but it takes experience, strategy, and the right timing. Don't wait for a court date, and don't wait for the bank to tell you it's too late. You have equity, use it to get out ahead, not to buy time you no longer have.